another episode of Yard Abroad, where we talk about living and doing business in Ghana from the perspective of two Jamaican-American women. Of course, we talk about all kinds of things and have all kinds of people on, but today we have none other than Sicely Williams of Touch of Essence Spa. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Lakeisha Marie, and this is my co-host,
Zinga Makita.
So we're just gonna get right into the conversation. Cicely, welcome to Yard Abroad.
Hey, I need to do some wine or something. I'm so excited to be here. So cool. Yeah, like we said, this is like family. Yeah, I love you guys.
Seriously. I think the last time I saw you properly was when you were hosting Makita's sensual yoga
Yes.
birthday. Y'all, that was so much fun.
It was lots of fun.
Yes, if you guys have not heard of sensual yoga, get on it. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Open
today.
those hips.
Right.
Spread them.
So, just to get right into the questioning before we give away too much in the beginning, Cicely, please introduce yourself for those people who don't know who you are.
So I'm Sicely, also known as Alma the Goddess here in Ghana because I'm Saturday born, although I am Black American. So both of my parents are American. One is from Memphis, the other one's from Chicago. So I literally grew up in both Memphis and Chicago. But I moved to Ghana from Atlanta. So I was...
Wakanda.
Yes. I was literally, you stole the words out of my...
Is Atlanta Wakanda?
Yes, I was about to say that's the only that's the only city in America I feel like Black people should live, like straight up. Like to me, it's Black excellence.
Yeah,
It's Black healing, Black spirituality. I love Atlanta. I really do. I mean, I'm still very connected to the community there. So yeah, I came here from there. So I've actually been living in Ghana now this is my 4th year.
Okay.
So I'm in my 4th year. I came right before the president, American president, got in. But I moved here with my family. My mom ended up moving like maybe a year after.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been really, really beautiful. You know, it's Ghana. We have our goods, our bad, our all. But I would definitely say I'm in peace here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. So, I mean, of course, to journey here is one thing, but there's also the experience. The experience is also coupled with having some form of like labor of love. Can you talk about what your labor of love is?
In regards to Ghana?
In regards to Touch of Essence.
Okay.
How did you even start Touch of Essence, first of all?
Oh my goodness. So I started Touch of Essence. The funny part is that I actually started Touch of Essence after a trip to Ghana in 2009. So I started it in the States.
Okay,
but the way it worked is I came to Ghana. I actually stayed in Kumasi this time for like 2 months. And I was just like, whenever we would go around, I'm like, are they cutting hair outside? Are they cutting their toenails outside? Like, I just felt like everything was so mobile. Everything was like right there at your fingertips. You can get your toilet tissue, whatever you want. You can literally get it on the roadside these days. So I was just like, wow, like I love this concept. I remember literally going to my husband at that time, his grandmother's house, and wrote everything down. I want to have a spa. I want it to be mobile. I want to do that, like literally. And it was from being here in Ghana. I went back to the U.S. and I started it in 2010. So I started it straight from just mobile spa. And at that time, like my family is very much in the spa business. So my aunt did nails. So I kind of grew up in the spa.
Okay.
Yeah. So that definitely is my background. My mom used to do nails. So she always did natural nail care. So that was always kind of my thing. I wasn't really into like the artificial nails and stuff. So I knew that I wanted to make it natural. I didn't want it to just be a regular spa. I wanted it to be natural. I wanted to use natural products, natural ingredients. So that's really how it started. Kind of my family kind of bringing it to me. My mom retired and she was like, look, I'm going to give you my clients. And that's how it started, 2010.
Amazing.
Boom. Yep. Write it down. Manifest that ish.
Yeah.
Manifest that ish.
That's so interesting. That's actually how I started my company too. I literally got woken up out of my sleep.
Wow.
The name came to me, and it was like Forward Communications, connecting the West to Africa,
Wow.
you know, like whatever. It's like I had to write it down at that moment. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was like a conviction, like this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So
Powerful messaging.
I love that.
Very cool.
Okay, so what made you actually say, I am going to leave America and come and relocate to Ghana?
So I had 3 children. So my last born was born the year before we moved.
Okay.
And so that was when I actually made the decision and said, you know, it was so much going on, and we still have a lot of it going on right now. And the climate in America was just really crazy. And so I was just like, you know what? I kind of refused to raise a boy child here. And so, you know, not to say that it's not affecting us as women, but we know, you know, the effects of it in regard to men and our black boys. And so I specifically said, you know, by his first birthday, we're going to be in the continent.
Wow.
So December 27th, probably the craziest time to try to move. You know, it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
It's crazy in the airports. We literally was on the continent by his birthday, which is December 30th. We were in Kenya,
wow.
and then we moved to Ghana by like the second week of January.
How was Kenya?
I loved it. Like Nairobi is so dope. It's like, it's to me like Orlando. Like, you know how when you think of
Florida?
Yeah, when you not exactly, not like Disney, but like when you think of Orlando, you think of like it's so many attractions and so many things to do. It was very family oriented, so it was just like we had so much to do with the children. I loved it so much for that reason. Yeah.
How long did you stay?
We were there for like a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we stayed at really nice accommodation. It was really nice. Spa was nice. You know, it's always my go-to. Like it was really nice, so I liked it.
That's awesome.
So what is it like having your mom here, having your kids here? How do you function, and having a business here?
Yeah, it's a lot. I would definitely say, especially I would say my advice to Americans coming is like you need a year just to ground yourself here. So it definitely takes time because it is different, and I think sometimes we want to be accepted and we just want, it's a continent and I'm here and I want everything to work well. And it's like, you come from a different culture and you are coming into a different culture. So you really have to understand that take your time and ground yourself for a year. So initially it was kind of difficult. I won't lie. Like my first 6 months were really difficult, having my children here, you know, trying to find a nanny, trying to start my business. You know, my mom was here. She was dealing with her own healing because we have to understand when we're coming from that country to here, you're going through a whole healing transformation. I remember my first like week here, I broke down and started crying and I had no idea why. And I realized I was just like bottling so much up because I was there. I was doing so much. I was working. I had my business. I was doing so much. It was like once I came here, it was almost like a release.
Wow.
And everything just fell off. So it took me some time to just go through that process. And then I could accept and be happy and enjoy now, you know, my family actually being here. So now, I love it. My children, they go to every children play place here. We're always everywhere, you know. I try to keep them as active as possible. They have, you know, we have our community, our tribe of other people, other parents. We do play dates. We live next to the botanical garden, so that's like a go-to. That's a go-to. You know, my mom came in. It's a huge elder Black American community here, so she was able to just get right in. You know, she was dance classes, and now she goes on a staycation every weekend with one of her other elder friends that are like from Kansas. So it's really been really beautiful for us, but I always like to reiterate that it takes time. It takes time to get that comfortability, to figure out what works, you know, to figure out like our housing situation. We all live together in one house, and you know, in America we did it. Everybody was in their own spaces. So here it works better for us as a family to be here because for me, my business is mobile. So a lot of times my mom is the person that heads the household, gets everything together and makes sure everything is, you know, going on there. Especially for here because I think culturally elders are, of course, far more respected. So even when it came to nannies, and house helps and people that would help around the house, I was a small girl. Like, they don't want to hear from you. And I'm like,
what is your mama
I'm
saying?
not small. Like, I'm grown. I have children. But they're like, no. So when my mom is in the house, she has everybody together and it makes everything work.
Right.
So that, my saving grace, I love my mom so much. She has been everything for me right now. Even, having our men around and all that, the dads, everything is fine. But still, my mom keeps it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And Makita, your mom comes back all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tried to get them together.
I know, but it didn't happen. But she's coming to relocate here now.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Soon come.
Yes.
I'm working
To
on my
live here.
mom.
I
Lord.
know.
I'm actually working on my
Some
whole
prayers.
family.
Literally.
my whole family. I'm working on them,
Family
like,
reunion,
relocating
Ghana
to Ghana.
2021. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Yeah, it needs to be.
Yeah.
So in reference to like just that idea of, okay, your mothers have come back, mine, in my family, they're still stateside.
Okay.
I have one family member that has visited me, my cousin, Shay. She comes all the time.
Beautiful.
But, this idea of being in the States and just kind of the climate of what's going on, I try to share with people, when you come, there's almost this purging, this alignment that happens when you come here. I know that you're into healing work and you're into, not just spa work, but the foundation of it is healing.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting those two ideas with what's happening right now in the States and just in the world, how can you talk to us about how people can almost stay cleansed during this time? We're essentially in the midst of a revolution. How can we, just stay clear?
Yeah, I think that's a big question for a lot of people that are in the, healing community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really focused on wellness. So I love spa in the sense of beauty, but I also love it in the sense of the healing aspect. A body scrub, yes, it makes you glow, but you really are cleansing off a lot of energy as well. A massage, it feels so relaxing, but you really are sometimes massaging out kinks and tension that people hold in their bodies. So that's the take that I like to, or that's the piece that I like to take from the whole wellness spa side. And I think that that's a piece that, we all need to hone in on right now. It's just focusing on our own personal healing, focusing on first, as women first, then children, then men, then mom, then dad. First, we have to be for self because you can't pour if you're empty. And even I had to learn that, even I went through a point of just working myself where I would be so drained. I can't do anything for myself, for anybody. And so I had to learn to really take out the time to actively cleanse, like you said, taking cleansing baths. If it's just sea salt and water, take a cleansing bath. Actually visualize to yourself, you know what, I'm releasing this energy from my body. Taking time to move your body. I'm really big on movement. As you talked about the sensual yoga, twerk it out. Twerk it out. Jamaicans, hello. Wine it out.
Right.
Serious.
Right.
As women, not even just women, but people in general, we hold a lot of tension in our womb and our hips. Yeah. That's where we hold it. Usually here and here. And a lot of times here we can feel it. So it's like, okay, I know my shoulder. Yeah. But here, a lot of times you don't know it. Right. Until you actually get into a hip opener. So you actually open up and you see. So moving your body and letting that energy move out. Right. Because a lot of times we're holding so much because we're watching things on social media. We're actively experiencing things in our lives, especially for us that are in America. Or we have those traumatic events that come back, those memories. So we have to be actively working on cleansing ourselves, on moving that energy out of us, and really staying focused on the present, on what are we doing now? How can we be a solution to ourselves, to our tribe, to our families now, and not really focusing so much on the past, on the hate, on the negativity, because it's going to be there. Unfortunately, it's going to be there. So I really just focus on that cleansing element. people really take that for granted. Like, even if you don't do any other type of spiritual work, any other type of healing, just cleansing your energy, even if it's just weekly.
How can people do that? Give us some examples.
So, of course, we all know the very popular, the saging, you know, so you can burn your sage and cleanse your energy just with the smoke around your body, cleansing your space as well. Like I mentioned, sea salt. Sea salt and charcoal, activated charcoal, are really great natural and spiritual cleansers. So you can actually make yourself a body scrub out of that and scrub yourself and literally visualize while you're scrubbing yourself, I'm releasing this negative energy from my body, and you're scrubbing yourself. It can be simple sea salt, just salt, just sea salt itself. You can soak your feet or soak your entire body. Remember, a lot of things come in and out of our feet, so we can focus sometimes the energy just on our feet. Doing different things like detoxing, drinking like lemon water, just allowing yourself to release. Sometimes we're holding in the gut that waste, you know, not releasing that. We sometimes think we're constipated, but it's energy. So we just need to be thinking about these things when we're looking at these symptoms in our body, thinking about, okay, I'm holding something and I need to release that. Like we talked about earlier, writing. Sometimes just writing your thoughts. It don't have to be poetry. It don't have to be anything special. Just write. Get it out of your mind. Just write it down. So these are just ways that we can release this energy, this unwanted energy. Not all energy is bad, of course. We have that good energy. We want to keep that in. When you come around good sisters, your goddess sisters, whatever, people that really drive you and inspire you, take that energy in. Take that in. Sit in that. You know, don't feel like, it's so much going on, so I can't be happy. I can't laugh with my sisters right now. I can't. No.
Be in the moment.
Enjoy that. Presence. Be present. That's the main thing. Be present. And like we said, focus on self. Once you focus on self, if everybody's focused on self, then what?
When we collectively, get together, we're all full.
Exactly.
Right. We're not upset with this person or projecting insecurity.
Projection and triggers. We don't even want to go there.
So, coming from America, moving here, starting your business, having fun, living your best life. But what are the difficulties of being an entrepreneur here? Woman entrepreneur. Are there any difficulties?
Yes, it is.
Like, which one?
What should I focus on? You know, I would say being a woman entrepreneur, you have to understand culturally how Ghana works. It is a patriarchy society. So it's very male dominated in that sense. So me being a woman coming from America, it's almost I would say Black America is almost kind of the opposite, where women are more independent and more kind of almost the head of households. Please don't be upset with me. But that's kind of how it is. Yeah. So in that sense, a woman can just make her moves. Like it's nothing. Here, you almost, especially when I first got here, now I know more people and I'm more out there. But when I first got here, it felt like I couldn't do anything without a man. I couldn't make any decision. I couldn't go register. I couldn't do anything without a man. So I always felt like I had to, you know, have, at the time, my ex-husband was a really big help for me. So everything I had to go through him. And I was like annoyed with that. I'm an independent woman. You know? I don't have time to be going through no man. What are you saying? I've learned to be more balanced in that. Because I do recognize the fact that sometimes in America as women, as Black women, we can be a little overly masculine.
Yeah, our masculine energy
is very heightened. It's very heightened.
It's just survival.
It's survival. You know, it's not purposeful. It's survival. And so I had to learn to feminize. Feminize. Yeah. and be more nurturing and more open. And so with that, you know, that was a challenge, but I've overcome it. Another challenge for me is employees. Sometimes just the work ethic, and that goes back to those cultural differences. Not a good and bad thing, but just a cultural difference. In America, we are very work heavy. People will have 3 and 4 jobs, working 12 hours at each shift. It ain't even enough hours in the day for the amount of time. You know what I'm saying? There's so many jobs that people are working, so much work. And so we're used to that. And we're even used to that with employees. You need to come, you need to work, you need to do this, you need to be on that. So I had to learn that more relaxed vibe here, where, you know, employees are like, so we're working today? You know, like, we're scheduled Monday through Friday. You know, so learning how to work as a team with those cultural differences, learning how to pick employees that work well for what I do specifically, really learning just period. I think the key for any obstacles I've faced with entrepreneurship is really just learning how to understand how I can be within the culture. Because I think that's really the main thing. Is like, as Americans, we have to understand that we're not here to change things. We're not here to, you know, oh, well, this is how it should work because this is how it works in America. No, that's what I'm used to, but now it's different here. So now I have to apply those principles and learn how to be balanced, be present. So that was really the main thing. I don't really say that there's anything that's been like, oh my God, it's so hard. I've made moves here. It's opportunities here. I am grateful. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the amount of things that I can do here. And I try to, like you said, I try to tell family, like, look, you know, come on. We can have a whole, literally, we can have a whole situation here. It's so many skills. I already know all of what you all do. So it's a whole thing. But at the same time, you know, Ghana, Africa is not for everybody. And I had to realize that. I was repatriation. You know, when we first moved here, I was repatriation tours, move here. And then I realized it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. And so that key of understanding culture, and that's anywhere. And sometimes it's funny because when we go to other places, we're way more sensitive to the culture. Oh, if you're in Paris, you know, this is how people in Paris act. Oh, if you're in Dubai, remember, this is how you have to act in Dubai. But when you come to African countries, it's like, wait, why are they doing it like that? And we all have seen it. We see it in our community here. And that's where it just comes to that balance of understanding culture and understanding, like, you will have to make things different. You have to change. You can't run your business. Because the thing about me is I actually brought my business from America here. So I didn't really like come here and switch it all up. I brought what I was already doing and I just brought it here. But I had to understand when I brought it here, it's going to be different. You know, how I market, how I promote, how I go about it, you know, everything. Now, I now can't really take men clients now. You know, I have to be mindful. In America, I was going around being a mobile spa. Now here, you know, there's a different dynamic between men and women. So I have to be more conscious about having male clients. So
can you elaborate just a little bit on that? Why did you say you have to kind of?
I'm open. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm real open. Because my business is wellness, so that means I do yoga. I'm into spirituality. I'm into sensuality. I will talk about, you know, sex openly. And, you know, men sometimes, or just people in general, sometimes feel like that means you're open. You're open for it. You're available. You're available. Right. You don't know what I do at home. I can have multiple men. You don't know that. So I'm not lonely waiting on someone to call me. And sometimes that's the idea. So I did, because of, you know, Instagram, social media, I had a lot of men using my business as a way to date me, as a way to talk to me, as a way to be inappropriate with me. And so I had a last situation actually like 2 months ago where a guy was way inappropriate with me when I went to have a massage, or when I went to do a massage for him. And I had to figure out how to get myself out. And so at that point I had to say, Cicely, no, you know, you have to understand that at this point, you can no longer take male clients, like especially like single male clients. Like if it's a woman make an appointment for her husband or something like that, or if it's a couple type of thing, then that's fine. But yeah, I had to just for my own safety. Yeah, for my own safety. And I get it to a certain degree, but at the same time, it's like, no, don't use my business as a way. It's one thing for you to DM me, whatever. You can talk, but literally calling me out, you know. And even when I first started, that was the main question. Do you do happy endings? Oh. It's like, if you massage, and that's where it goes back to culture. If you massage, it's assumed that that's what you do. You are giving happy endings. So I had to make it very clear, like, no, I'm a different type of business. Mine's is more wellness. And then it was like, oh, okay, but so are you gonna still do it? literally, like, oh, I get you.
You can burn the sage by
you can cleanse my aura however you like, girl. It's
are you gonna do it?
But are you gonna do it? And so I had to be like, you know what? No, I can't. And I had a meeting with a PR lady, and she kind of evoked some things in me, and I was like, you know what? My business should be focused on women anyway. Yeah. What I do is really focused on women. So why am I even letting, me coming into this new environment pull this? Because I was getting a lot of male clients, and I was like, dang, I am getting a lot of male clients. So I had to step back and then see, okay, how am I promoting? What, who am I gearing things to? Because a lot of times I'm gearing things to women, but then a man, so what's that yoni egg about? Right. Not you. Right. But
Perversion.
Exactly. Exactly. So, it was something I had to learn, but I would say I'm good now. Nothing has happened to me where I would feel like, oh my God. But I had to learn in that particular moment that for my own safety, let me just stop right there and focus on my ladies, my goddess sisters. I got y'all. Like, your husbands, it's fine, but tell your friend boys, I can't.
It's interesting because that's just in general. I always say when people ask about moving here, I'm like, it's not even about me telling you where to get your travel shots or your visa. It's your mindset.
Yeah.
That's what you got to get ready. You have to prepare yourself to unlearn a lot of things, which means you also have to prepare yourself to behave differently as well. Because, even it's the same thing. Like, being Jamaican-American, my masculine energy as a woman, very strong, and we're raised that way. Yeah. But here I exercise that, but realized that I had to bring it, pull it back a little bit, because it was like, Lakeisha, you're going to be blacklisted in this country. So the idea is you have to almost learn yourself and how to balance what you're learning in the environment. Which is just so much work.
Because no one is going to teach you. No one is going to hold your hand and say don't do this. It's like you learn it as you go.
Yeah. Right. You learn as you go. You have no idea, because even mine was even sometimes with the police. Yeah. Knowing your tone as a woman when you're dealing with the police
all the way back.
I got arrested. I had to learn my lesson. That's what I tell people. You have to learn your lessons because we come from a different experience. Yes. 2 a.m. arrested in Medina. Not fun. Not fun at all.
I'm laughing because in the beginning of my experience, I actually was hit by he was in Navy. He was a part of the Navy, a military guy.
Wow. Hit?
Yes, slapped.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard this. Men have told me you gotta be careful because you will get slapped.
Wow. But by God's grace, my masculine energy was on 20.
Oh.
Because that's when I actually hit him back.
Of course.
With something, and basically defended myself.
Of course.
And it's just like,
wow.
No, and I've had men tell me you need to slow down, Sicely, because one of these men will slap you. And I'm like, I wish, I wish they would. I wish they would. I'm gonna pick something up. I'm not gonna try to fight anybody, but it's plenty of bricks around.
That was me, and he got it. Look, I don't want to scare anyone.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to get slapped per se. Just saying that these are the experiences, and I'm more so talking about how my masculine energy was on 10.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was my fault, but it's just like that's when I use my masculine energy, when I realized that I could pull it back and just have more neutralized situations.
Yeah.
It just worked.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Keisha, we know that you can like bust somebody up. That's
Right.
great, you know, and
But is it worth it
Yeah.
right
but
now?
is it worth
Yeah.
it? So that's something
Yeah.
that essentially is the takeaway, that you're gonna have to like peel back certain parts of yourself
Yeah.
and balance out based on the environment and how things function here.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I don't hit military.
Look, I don't get arrested anymore. I know my tongue. Yes. Here's my license.
Okay. Smile, wave, and keep
And it helps. It does work. Like you said, you learn like it's not even really worth it.
Mhm.
Like, you know, that's an energy that we had there, and it was necessary there.
Yes.
Right.
But it's not
Yes.
even really worth it here
Mhm.
because a lot of times it's not. That's why you got to know the culture, because sometimes like you'll end up at the end of it laughing with the same person that was getting that aggression, that was making you think, oh, this is a really aggressive situation, and it really wasn't.
Yeah.
But from our perspective, we're
Right.
used to that aggressiveness. So it's like, oh, if somebody getting a little loud,
Yes.
Right.
what's happening?
Like,
Wait,
Right.
get the Vaseline. What is
Right.
going on? So it's like, yeah, you learn like, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's
You
not worth
peel
it.
that all the way back.
Grateful. We're grateful for these lessons.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
we're talking about balance, being grateful. How was it? Like, I know, like in Ghana, we're heavy into Christianity, going to church.
Yeah.
So these things that we see here, how did people receive it? As far as like, because it's in the culture here
Already.
already.
Yes.
I think people will find it funny, but I didn't come here to sell metaphysical tools. I literally had these things for myself. So you know how when we were first moving here, you're gonna ship things.
Yeah.
So I used to just ship a large amount of sage because we
That's
wanted
what you
it for
did,
the
yeah.
house. Yeah. People would see it and people would start asking me, are you selling that? What about this?
Business.
What about crystals? So it was, oh, okay. Because that was my initial thought. I wasn't sure how people were going to be, receiving even just yoga.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
yoga has a lot of myths in regard to religion. So I was like, I wasn't sure. I was treading very softly and slowly because, I do respect the fact that culturally Christianity is a big part of the culture. And although the tradition is still very much a part of the culture, for the forefront for everyone when they're out, is more or less Christian or Muslim. And so now, it's on a different level. I would have to say the youth, they're really opening up. They're really opening up. And it's not to say that they're anti-Christianity. And I think that's a real big piece that people need to understand with spirituality. It's not anti-Christianity. Most of us grew up, if you're Black, you grew up Christian, unless you were Muslim. You pretty much grew up, Christianity almost is a part of our culture, in my opinion. So it's like you grew up with that sense of religion already in you. So a lot of times the spirituality piece is, to me, tools. Extra things that kind of help you bring balance to self, help you to hold yourself more accountable, help you to do that healing work that you may not do if you're so kind of focused on the religious piece, because you're focused on maybe somebody else doing it for you. So with the spiritual element, you're more or less, I have to do it. I have to do the work. So with that, I have been really excited about how many people are opening up. I mean, literally, I get a call about sage once a day. That's a lease.
Wow.
Once a day. I literally had a man come to my house yesterday and knock on my door and say, I couldn't find your number. Do you have sage?
We're fighting spirits out here.
I was like, wow.
Bad mind.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
And so now it's put me in a position where, because of everything that's going on in the world and, a lot of places we can't get things in and out. So it's put me in a position now where I've been looking for the local, for the traditional, going back to, you know, our ancestors and what they use. Because you know, sage, we can't really, or I don't know of anyone who's growing it here. So I can't really get palo and sage here, but we can get frankincense. You know, we can get some other things that we may not know about that have the same exact benefits. So really that's been my focus now, is like, how can we do the same healing work with things that we can find locally? And all we have to do is tap into the elders, because I know they know. They know. And it's that time too. It's time for us as the young people, because our elders are going. You know, that's a part of life. But it's time for us to tap into them and like, hey, we need that info, because we about to be the elders and we need to pass it. Yeah.
It's interesting because I actually grew up the other way. I didn't grow up in the church. I grew up like this.
Really?
Yeah.
Really, Keisha?
My grandma,
I'm like so
my
excited.
grandma was like a priestess, if you will. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I grew up that way, and I found Christianity on my own. So now, the way I see these things is like literally God made nature, right? And if you want to say like the Trinity, fine. They made nature, and essentially you can experience God through nature. So when I'm pulling my plants, when I'm pulling my salt, when I'm pulling everything that has come from the earth to naturally heal me, and then in Jamaica we have so much like flora and fauna. We bush tea. We put so much together. It's in our culture.
Yeah.
We put so much together to heal ourselves, you know? So even as a Christian, using the earth, you know, and you can look at it, what is it, Genesis, I think 27, they talked about basically the earth being for us, nature being for us, usually literally pulling pieces of nature to heal, you know? And you pray over it and you channel whatever, you know, your God is. For me, it's Christ. You channel that. And I don't feel any way about it, because I'm like, God put this stone here. God put this, you know what I mean? This sage plant here. And then, of course, you hear about frankincense and myrrh in the Bible. So for people who are Christian and watching, it's not to say that it is anti-Christian. You obviously see that literally God has made everything. So it's literally, you know, we have dominion over these things, so we use it and we put it into ourselves, just like the food, just like, you know, the water, just like the liquids, literally the nature, the stones, all of those things I think are part of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the beautiful part about even the culture here in Ghana, is that even though they go to church or whatever, different things like funerals, you start seeing like things from their tribe that have to come into play, like things that they have to do. Yeah. So it's true. Yeah.
Tapping into the ancestors and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. I've heard
even certain things that you put in the casket and all of that, like yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, it's really true. And I that's been really my message is you know, that spirituality is not anti. And, you know, even the idea of an altar. Your altar can be so many things. Your altar does not have to be you slaughtering an animal.
Right.
That's your prayer closet.
Yeah. These are all in the same meditation prayer closet. It's same thing. You know, you have an altar. You can have an altar of affirmations. Just for yourself. Just for self-love. You can have an affirmation. You know, you can have an altar that's just about protection for your family, you know, peace for your home. So it doesn't have to be anti. Everything is here for us, and it's here for us because of God created it. So I definitely am so grateful and so happy that people are really opening, you know, or I'm not even say people are open, because people probably have always been open, but it's just more open now where people are courageous enough to like, I'm gonna have my crystals on, and you know, I'm not gonna be bothered by you know, I'm not gonna feel like I'm doing something. You know, I had a man come to me, he was like, I came to you after church, let me come get my good. Like that's, you know, because and that's what I want, you know, people to see that these are tools. There's nothing negative about them. They're just tools. You can use them with your Bible or not.
Right.
You know, it's up to you.
What I love about what you're doing is that I think just in the midst of let's say past 10 years, there's been an elevation, an increase in consciousness amongst Black women and just overall with Black people. And I always talk about how there's like this modern sector of back to Africa people. We're not necessarily back to Africa people, but we've come back.
Yeah.
And I love that if you are interested in that higher consciousness and tapping into those things, I love that you're here and providing it. It's not like, dang, I'm here and I'm like 20 something and I want Sage, and because I'm in Ghana, I can't get it.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that's what Touch of Essence is. Like, if you're here, you can still be about that consciousness. You can still tap into those things because you're providing it.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I'm grateful for that. And that's the advice that I give to a lot of people who want to come. Like, you have to understand, it's a whole community of us here that are used to having certain things from there. So you just bringing, you don't have to sometimes go so far. Sometimes people want to go so far with their ideas, like, oh, let me make this big mega da-da-da-da-da. It's like, just stick to what you know.
Yeah.
There are things that we want here. We just talking about purple sea moss. Bring it here. Start a whole sea moss store.
Right.
We need it.
Right.
So these are things that there's so much that we need here. There are so many communities here that lived in so many different places across a global center.
Right.
So many people, not just Black Americans, not just Americans. I have Lebanese, India. I have a lot of clientele who are always open and wanting things.
Right.
And so I think that is a beautiful thing, a concept for people to take in. It's just like, bring what you know.
Right. I think that definitely is the future of how like we would progress. Is even if you sell cable wires or you're a mechanic, you have a vocational skill. Because this is an emerging market, there are these gaps. There's so many gaps to fill.
So many.
And I think it's for us to pour in and add value and also receive back as well.
So for those who have kids in the States and they're thinking about visiting Ghana or coming to Ghana, I have my kids here. How was that experience, even for your children? What are their ages?
So I have a 15-year-old.
Whoa.
I know. People always like, what? You look 15. No, I'm a 15-year-old who's like my sister. It's
Can
funny.
you imagine?
I know.
I'm
So
trying
funny. She's like a little entrepreneur herself. She's like a mini me. It's so funny. And then I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so my 15-year-old is Ghanaian. She's half Ghanaian. So for her experience is a little different than the younger ones because she's here. She goes to school. She goes to Achimota. Which wasn't even something we chose for her. Like, I'm very much into homeschool.
When did you bring her here? What age was she?
So she was 13 when she came. So we first were connected to an African Center homeschool that was based here, started with some Black Americans. So that was where my children were going at first. But then my oldest is very verbal. So she was just like, I need a little bit more structure and I need, I need this, she's a Scorpio sun. So she's like, she knows what she wants. She knows how she wants it. And so I was like, okay, that's cool. She was like, okay, I want to go to, and then she wanted more social. She wanted to meet more people. And so she went to a Christian school for like 2 years. So that was like her JHS time.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, I started talking to other parents. I was like, it's some private high schools or what they call SHSs here. And she was like, no, I want to go to, what's the one in Cape Coast? The girls' school? Wesley Girls. She wanted to go to Wesley Girls or she wanted to go to Achimota. So she was like, I'm taking the test. She took the BC.
Wow.
This was nothing on me. Like, I'm very much a homeschool. Like, she's my child that has had both traditional and homeschool. Okay. So I let her kind of choose what she wants. But she was just like, I'm taking this test. I'm about to do it, and I'm about to get into school. And then she made her final choice. She's like, yeah, I guess I don't want to go to Cape Coast. And I was like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm not ready for you. This is like college. Like, I'm not ready for you to go to another city and live there. Like, that's a bit much for me. Like, I get it. But, that's another cultural thing. So she was like, okay. So she said, okay, well, Achimota. And I was like, okay, cool. And we went to the school, and I was like, still, this feels like college. so huge. But she ended up, I think I probably manifested it, but she ended up being a day student because she wanted to be boarding. I wasn't ready. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't ready for her to be a boarding student. So she's had a really good experience.
That's awesome.
And, you know, she has her times. People mock her about her accent and, you
Does she have
know,
an American accent?
she has a very American accent.
Okay.
A very American accent. So, and she doesn't really know a lot of trees. She knows a little. But it's been really beautiful for her. She's had a lot of experiences she works with me, with my business. She started her own business, Taste of Essence, where she does vegan treats. She's a baker, so she really likes that. So we let her kind of tap into that. And her dad has a restaurant, so she works with him. So we're very entrepreneurial with our children. Like, we really want them to be, you know, to be able to, if they want to work for people, that's fine, but be able to make money on your own. Like, that's a key for me. Like, when it all comes down, when it's a situation like this, you need to be able to make money for yourself.
Yeah.
So with my younger children, they love it. Like, for them, you know, it's hot all the time. It's sunny. They can play outside. You know, I have my daughter now. She calls me all the time. She loves Aqua Safari and Ada. So she's just like, when are we going to see the fishes? Like, when are we going to go feed the horse? So they really just love the environment. My son, everybody loves him. So we can walk down the street and people are like, oh, where's Kwaku? I'm like, I don't even know him. Like, I don't even know you. So yeah, he's a boy's boy and everybody lets him be. So he gets to do whatever he wants. So I think he even understands that. When he goes back to America, he sees that people treat him differently, which is very interesting. He can tell, like, he has more freedom here. You know, you find you can be out and men are just like, let him be, you know, let him do. And he notices that. He notices that men, it's more of a boys culture here. So he notices that he's around men and men are embracing him because it's really interesting. I've had my youngest son sometimes with a driver, and the driver will be like taking care of my son the whole time, and we're like walking around the market or something. Like, it's very, you know, the culture is just different in that way. So my children really love it, you know, but I do like to make a point to a lot of Americans who ask, like, you can't come here with the same mentality, like, oh, you know, what area are we going to live in and what school we're going to pick. And, you know, people want to know all of that before they even get here. And it's just like, I can really tell you that because you may want to go private, you may go public, you may go international, you may decide to homeschool, you may just hire somebody and let them come and tutor your children. You know, you have to figure out what works for you because lifestyle here is different. You may live in East Legon, the school may be in Jolu, the traffic is crazy, you know, so you have to decide what works. And a lot of times for me, you have to be on the ground here. Like, you can plan a bit, but you really have to be on the ground here to really figure out how your family is going to function. Like I said, it took us a year. You know, we have the nanny culture here, people, you know, so people have help. We have help. So even going through that, like finding your right nanny. I have friends, American friends, who have had like 12 nannies, you know, like goes through them.
Right.
You know, I've had some bad stories with nannies too. So it's like you have to figure out what works. But I will say, having a family here is much easier.
It's so much easier.
It's much easier because you do have help, you know, and it's not help that's for us when we think of like, oh, you have a chef. Like, you know, in America, I don't have a chef. You know, it's like, oh,
you have a driver.
So poshy. But it's like you really can live a very modest life and still have that type of help. You know, have that support. And it's really a beautiful thing because it makes, especially for me as an entrepreneur and I'm a very flexible entrepreneur. So that means sometimes I can work every day. Right. So it really helped me to, you know, keep my family still grounded so they're not going all over just because I am. So for them, you know, everything is set up. So even, you know, their father in the States, he's like, I just like it better there for them because they have, you know, they have everything. And I'm like, well, we got all the family in America, but still you can tell the difference of really having that support here. Right. So, you know, I do appreciate that, but I definitely feel like people need to visit with the children first and then start planning for the children.
Well, my mom moved us here and was just like, we just moved.
I know you told me when you were like 16.
Like, So even like the few times that you show your daughter, like I see so much of the 15-year-old Makita in your daughter.
Yeah.
I swear.
You
like,
all
I
are
see-
Scorpio sons.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I see so much of her because I remember like just beginning high school in the States, and then my mom moving us here, and it was just like I was forced to mature. Even the way how girls carried themselves at that age, like I had to like
level up.
I had to level up. So
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's really beautiful to see and to see them. You know, for me, I just want my children to be global.
Yeah.
It's not even so like, oh, I want them to be in Africa.
Yeah.
I want them to be global because I want them to understand that, you know, the world is not just America. And sometimes when we grow up in America, that's kind of ingrained in us. Like, it's nothing outside of America.
Yeah.
Like, if Florida, that's it. You know, California, New York, Chicago, that's it.
Miami.
So, exactly. You know, that's the only place to go. I don't know where you're trying to go, but we going to Florida. And I'm like, no, it's more. It's more.
I love it. Okay, so we are nearing the end. I don't know if I'm sure I do know. Please tell the people how they can connect with you.
Okay. So I'm Touch of Essence Spa pretty much on all social media networks, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, at Touch of Essence Spa. So you can definitely connect with me there. I'm doing a variety of things these days. I'm becoming the wellness sanctuary is what I'm calling myself soon. So yeah, I'm here to connect. I'm definitely here to answer questions for, you know, Americans who are wanting to move here, Jamaicans who are wanting to move here. You know, I can only just tell you from my perspective, from my experience, but I'm definitely here for you guys.
Beautiful. And of course, for those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much for connecting. Please keep it locked to Yard Abroad. Subscribe, share, like. You can follow us on Instagram at yard.abroad. Please leave your comments. Let us know what you think. And
thank you
just
for
take it from
watching.
Awesome.
And thank you for doing this.
And
Alma
thank
the
you so
goddess.
much.
Alma the goddess.
Yes,
We
I loved
appreciate
it.
it.
I loved it. I loved it. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Look, I'm about to wind it up.
Right.
now. I heard y'all playlist. I was like, oh, wow.